Yeah, some gorgeous, gorgeous people ready to learn.
On the ones on the phone, I can't see. Okay, well, if you want to get started, we can start recording and you can introduce the call if you like, and
All right.
we'll go
So
right.
we've already started. We've started the recording.
Perfect.
And so, all right, welcome everyone. Welcome, welcome, welcome to, this is our second time getting together. I'm excited. Anytime I get time to spend with one of my phenomenal mentors, she's over there in the beautiful, she's all the way over there in the beautiful Hawaii. And I can always remember her, when we leave the Money and You events or we leave, that's like her spot, right? That's her spot, her little piece of heaven, she calls it. And she's looking so radiant. So if you're just now coming in, I'm Nicola Smith-Jackson, and I'm an entrepreneur who definitely is so passionate about making a major impact in humanity. And I am here with one of my mentors, DC Cordova, who is she is an icon in the entrepreneurial and business and transformational industry. She has taught so much. And what we want to do on today is we're going to have an opportunity to learn a lot more. We're going to be talking a lot about money on today. A lot of people are coming in. Let's see, where are you, DC?
I'm right here.
All right, good. And so as we're speaking, you're going to see and hear from this phenomenal soul.
Thank you.
So much that I've learned about business, myself, money. Charlene, if you can maybe go out, let's make sure that we have everyone muted. And what's going to happen on today is that we're going to have a very, very, very powerful conversation all about money, right, DC?
Yeah, we're going to be talking about money, and we can get started anytime.
And we're going to get raw about it because, DC, what happens is a lot of powerful lessons that I've learned from you, from the Business School Accelerated program, from Money in You that's coming June 15th through the 18th in Atlanta, is a lot about money and myself. A lot of people spend it. They don't understand it. It creates a lot of havoc in people's life, especially when you don't have, that personal basic financial literacy. But tonight we're going to be talking about money and systems, and how you're going to get it, how you're going to keep it, how you're going to grow it. And DC, I want you to just jump in because you know a lot about money. You know a lot about people with money, and we're going to even talk about the pitfalls, drama, stuff that happens all about money, upsets, all this stuff, and who better to talk about it than you yourself. So I'd love to open up to you there. Thank you for coming on tonight.
Thank you so much. Well, hi, everyone. For those of you that I have never met, my name is DC Cordova, and that stands for Doris Carmen Cordova Michelle. I'm originally from Chile. Got brought to the United States when I was 12, a typical California kid. Had a lot of sadness as I came into my adulthood, lost my beloved to a car accident, a baby, later another baby. So I don't have my own children, but I have many children around the world. And I had the opportunity to be very successful in the legal field by the time I was 24 years old. And I had the opportunity to watch many, many business cases. As you're learning to be a court reporter, and I was a translator, interpreter, I was around a lot of business people, money, upsets, money, people suing each other, all these things. I didn't know it at the time, but what I was really doing was being taught the world's view of money, the world's view of how people deal with money in many, many ways, and finances and prosperity and all that. And then later, I had an enlightenment experience when I was 26 years old on the islands of Hawaii, on Kauai. I had the opportunity to be able to really get in touch with my heart, with my soul, with the great spirit, that I was put in the world to do much more than just be a party girl at the time. And okay, thank you. So one of the things that ended up happening to me is that I ran into the first business school for entrepreneurs of its kind. Now it's called the Accelerated Business School for Entrepreneurs. And my mentors created the school out of a need because so many people wanted to work in their company that had grown an investment from $25,000 to $60 million in 3 years in the 70s in San Francisco. And they were transforming that city, and they were saving all the big, beautiful Victorians, and had an opportunity to be able to really put in place a combination of what was then the personal development key tools, and also a combination of very sound business tools and methods and systems. So they ended up really, really becoming very popular. And the lowest paid person was somebody that was making something like $15,000 base salary. But by the time they got done with profit sharing, I think she was making something like $43,000, $44,000 a year, which in the year 1975 was a huge amount of money, probably $200,000, $250,000 today. So what happened was that people wanted to learn. And I ended up attending the first business school for entrepreneurs, and I didn't know it. And I'm saying this to you, I was only 28 years old. And I'm saying this to you because I discovered that I had certain gifts that I didn't know that I had. And this is what when we talk about money, whenever we're talking about money, we're talking about business, we're talking about earning a living and really going for your soul, for that beautiful piece of you that just wants to be happy, but also prosper and prosper others. What you really want to be doing is to really start thinking in the big picture first. You have to think the big picture. And so what you need to understand about money is that the reason there are so many people that just automatically just make money is because they have learned from their families, from whomever, on how to just set up systems and how to do the business success model that we cover in our last Zoom, that you can go to Nicola's page and pick it up and be able to see the recording. And if they haven't put the recording up, please make sure that gets done by your team, Nicola, so that
available.
Perfect. So they can go to your page and they can pick it up. And so what we're going to do today is we're going to focus about money, about cash flow. And in Money and You, we're not going to go through financial statements, even though we do give you a blank financial statement for you to fill out in the privacy of your own home and your own family. What we do though, is we take you to a series of exercises where you begin to get in touch with what is really happening with you in regards to business, money, prosperity, contribution, and just really how you experience the world. The thing though that now I am going to cover on my own personal experiences that I've had and what I have learned from being nearly 40 years in the back of rooms around the world and finding out that human beings are all the same around the world, whether they're Chinese, Chilean, they are in Atlanta, they are anywhere in the world. Human beings have very few problems. There's only like maybe 12 problems in the world. And when it comes to money, only about 5 or 6. Now you have a lot of variations underneath, but they're pretty much very simple problems. And one of them is not having the understanding of whether you are in the process of making money, keeping the money that you manage to make, or how to grow the money that you manage to keep. So, and there are times when I will apologize when I start talking about genders, when I start looking at things that are different between men and women, and I can't help myself doing that because I have seen a great difference between the two. And I really feel that when it comes to all human beings are equal, no matter what race, what gender. I totally get it. Every human being has a task in this life, particularly, if we get into the spiritual realms, is to really find spiritual and personal mastery. But now let's talk about money. Let's talk about business. Let's talk about how do you get that money. And what happens is that sometimes it's easy for human beings to get it. And like I said last week, there's two things that I have found that people that don't have money, the challenges they have is they don't spend enough time on income generating activities and leveraging themselves. So let me just get to a very simple thing that I recommend that you do immediately in order for you to figure out whether you're spending enough time on income generating activities. You need to get, now we have iPhones. Way back in the days, we used to get one of those little tiny books, those little notebooks that you could buy anywhere for like $1, that you took little notebooks. They're like about this big. Now you have your iPhone, but some of you may want to put it on your little book. And what you want to do is you want to have, for 2 weeks, you're going to keep track of everything that you do from the time you wake up until the time you go to sleep for 2 weeks without fail. You're not going to judge it. You're not going to look at it. You're not going to try to figure things out. Nothing like that. What we're looking for are unconscious patterns on how you deal with the time that you have. Now, very fast, very, very quickly, I have a manual that's going to be republished called Money Making Systems. And in there, and through some of my advanced programs, I talk about something that I discovered very young, that you can't manage time because time is experiential. So when you are at a dentist and somebody's drilling on your tooth, 1 minute, or you're in an earthquake, 1 minute seems forever. And it's true. I have been at the dentist and have been through 3 major earthquakes that only lasted a minute, one of them, and it felt like it was 10 minutes. It was so long. And then the opposite, when you are with a beloved, when you are with your children, when you have just a little time, they're going to leave on a big trip, and you just want that 10 minutes to expand. It goes like that. So time is experiential. So the only thing that you can really manage are activities. So just make the switch right now. Right now, look, getting it is what takes the time. If I just tell you, get this, get it, move on, and go for it, okay? Because I want to save you a lot of time, money, and energy. So the thing is that you now are managing activities, not time. And there's something really interesting about the brain. When you say the wrong data, when you give the wrong data to your consciousness, it will go with that. So it will try to manage time, but time is hard to manage because it's experiential. So you can be with a client where you're completely being with the client. And then, it's like you get lost, you go down a rabbit hole of conversation that's really important, and you will lose track of time. So now we are managing activities. So now you add one more word, which is called income generating activities. So if you're going to go to work, if your schedule of work is from, say, 9 in the morning until 6 or 7 p.m., which is a pretty good hours for most people. Most entrepreneurs work a lot longer than that, but let's just say that's what your hours are. So when you go to work, the first thing you need to figure out, what are the most income generating activities that you can be involved in that day? What are the top 3 that are going to generate the most money for you now? What are the top 3 that are going to generate the most amount of money for you later? Okay, so every day I teach people do at least 5 things that are going to bring you money in the future. Okay, there's money now, and then there's future money. And it could be very simple. It could be an email. It could be a phone call. It could be like right now, I have to tell you, this time with us is income generating right now because we're teaching you how to create it. So this is an income generating. But just having a great conversation, with someone, that is not a sale, that is not an income generating activity, because that's what you want to start focusing on. So when you have that 2-week statistical facts on how much time you might spend doing things that are not income generating, then you will begin to see the patterns that you have, that maybe you're spending so very little time doing what you need to be doing. So when I did it, when I was very young, I was only 27 years old. For instance, I found out that I was spending 2 hours to 3 hours a day talking to my best girlfriend. 2 to 3 hours a day. So, the first correction we made was come over, let's take a vacation together for 2 weeks, and we're going to cut down our conversations on the phone. In those days, we didn't even have mobile phones. We're just chatting about everything in the world and not creating the level of abundance that we both needed. So that got cut off. Literally from the time you wake up until you go to sleep, how much time you spend in the shower, in the bathroom, how much time you spend with restaurants, in food, in coffee shops, and in meetings, and how much time did you spend with each client. So you have to be very realistic. I can help you, and you cannot help yourself if you don't know your patterns on how you're spending it. And the only way to see it is by having statistics on it that are real, not fooling yourself, and not having other people tell you, oh, you don't spend enough time on income generating activities. No. You want to have this for yourself. The brain works in a way so that it's like with video, if I look at myself on the video, I go, oh yeah, my hair, all of this, it begins to correct immediately. But after a while, it corrects automatically. So what we want you to do is we want you to begin to notice also the judgments that you have about money. And we talked about that last week too. I recommended that you do the magical exercises in my book, My Access to Cash. Listen to how we generated funds in myaccesstocash.com. That's easy, that's all free. But what I want you to do more than anything else is to become conscious. You're not going to become a money-making machine, okay? If you have any judgments about that, do the exercises. You need to, for a while, in order for you to handle cash, money coming in, cash, you need to focus on it. Believe it or not, people think that they're focused on it. They're not. They're focused on other things. When people get focused on it, they really, really begin to change the reality. Now, what I want is Nicola. Nicola, share something. I have said quite a few things. I know you have done.
I have been taking notes. No, guys, I'm not texting. I'm using my iPhone and taking notes because, every time I am in the presence of DC, she's speaking just so it seems nonchalant, but I am telling you, it is so extremely powerful. And it takes me back into the room of when I went to Business School Accelerated and Money and You, and the idea of the business success model as well as systems. And when we're talking about big picture and people who want to know, so often they want to know, how are you guys growing these teams so fast? And how, when I'm talking to people about business and it seems as they say, you make it sound easy. And that has so much to do with the big picture and being very clear on what income generating activities are. And that whole deal of knowing, I shared with many of you all when I met DC, I was actually at an event speaking and she just sat up on the table, hey, do you want to come to Asia and learn business? And I'm like, sure, that sounds like a great, invitation, but not even knowing I might have been on the path because the universe had me on path, but I was off track, meaning I'd made a lot of money and didn't understand those three systems we know about how to make it, talking about how to keep it, and then how to grow it. Those three things, right? When I went to Money and You and we had to do the whole piece of, our assets and our liabilities. And here it is, by this time, I've already had made over $1 million. When I began to start to write those things down and it was right in front of my face, it was the wake up call, like, wait a minute, what do I really know about money? Because there are a lot of things here that are empty, not anymore since I've been through Business School Accelerated and Money and You. But it was the wake up call because guess what? Around me, there were people filling it out and they were just filling it out and they had their stuff together. And I said, well, you have these things with you? They literally had it. They were like, of course, like they knew what their expenses was, of course you might know their income, but they knew what their expenses were. They knew what their assets were. They knew what their net worth was. And I sat there and I said, well, wait a minute, I have to go and dig this stuff up. And when I began to realize that, I said, you know what? We started learning about income generating activities, and I had been considered successful in my business. But there was a lot of hours, at 24 hours that every single one of us get, 24 hours in a day. I had realized that for me to say I want to earn XYZ amount of money, that a lot more of my time was not focusing on, it wasn't intentional on income generating activities. So there were the limits, and there were the hindrances, and there were the pitfalls that we'll talk about, you know, a little bit later, that had me sometimes feeling uneasy about money. And now I'm feeling so comfortable because of the understanding. And even because I have a lot of friends now that your network is like, okay, wait a minute. So if you're a little off track, where should you go? We know where to go. A lot of people don't know where to go. We got you, DC, right? And so I'm so excited about my thought process that changed. I would never act like I was just there all along. And that's why we're inviting you to these conversations, because these are very conversations people don't have at the kitchen table with their parents. And in most places, even DC shared, she came from humble beginnings and she was doing things differently. And saying way back in the 70s, people who grew their businesses from thousands to millions of dollars, and where at the lowest of the totem pole, they were still considered elite. And here we are fast forwarding, and there's still so many people who are without this information, DC.
Yeah.
So many people. So even, you know, we want to invite you out, of course, but we want to make sure that we're giving humanity, we're doing our part. That's why we're here on tonight. We're doing our part to make sure you have access to this information and have better understanding and a relationship with money, because it's huge. So I'm like here, I'm still in class. This is a very powerful moment for me as well. I'm always going to remain humble, so I can always continue to learn, you know, and hopefully everyone's getting a lot of information, because the judgments, when you start talking about that, the judgment, because some people don't think that they judge, DC. Some people don't believe that they have judgments. They don't believe that they have dysfunction when it comes to money. And would you probably say that your bank account and how your bank account is flowing, because we're going to talk about cash flow, will kind of let you know, like, do you have judgment or don't have judgment with money, right? Money is something that it kind of tells on itself where you are with it.
But also how we act. Like, for instance, I have run into major judgments right now with the status of the government. You know, what's happening. And when I talk to some of because I'm very independent when it comes to certain business things, and I talked about being a social capitalist last week. And, one of the things that I have such a hard time when I'm watching this whole thing reverting back to things that I really know about, like oil, Russia, and, you know, this whole conversation, and knowing that there is a group of people that are going to be making trillions and trillions in the next 6 months or year, because it's a rigged system. And we have people that are being cut off, like my mother, who's 92 years old. Her little friends are being cut off in Los Angeles. You know, help. It's somebody that's 90 years old is having to go to clubs and be fed by third parties because they don't have enough. So then I get very judgmental, and then I come back into my body, and then I go into, like, I can do something about this. I can do something about myself. I can do something to influence people. And there's only one thing, which is to understand. Right now, I want you to understand entrepreneurial education. I want you to understand money. Are you in the process of making it, keeping it, or growing it? And so here's why I'm going to talk a little bit about gender, that men have a tendency to be more hooked to a thing called the drama hook that we talk about quite a bit at Money and You. And by the way, please don't be disappointed when you get to Money and You if you don't see me teaching it. I have never taught Money and You because it's a lot of work. 3.5 days. My instructors work very, very hard. So I'm the one that sets up all the system in place, but I sit in the back and I'm available to you at the breaks and meals. I love it. I love it. And of course, I'm available to you for life. And all of my Money and You graduates are my lifetime customers, my clients who will be with me, who I'm churning out to create a world that works for 100% of humanity. So I am available to many new graduates even more. So one of the things that men have this drama hook, and what happens is that it actually has been proven that physically they get the same endorphins, the same chemicals that are generated at intimate moments and are generated out of playing, of playing football, basketball, and all of these things. The same thing is generated when the drama hook is there. It's like they're going for the kill, and then the chase is so exciting. But then when they get it, it's kind of tough. Whereas with women, we have in our DNA to be gatherers, and because we're mothers, it's in our DNA to take care of things and to constantly be thinking about the future. So for those of you that may be having marital problems right now, because one is spending a lot of the money or they're being reckless with it, and the other one, sometimes it is the men that's more careful. There are some pretty reckless women, so it's not like 100%. So you could be the one, a man sitting here going, I'm the one that wants to save. I'm the one that wants to take care of the family. My wife is the one buying brand new cars and wanting to spend all the money on Louis Vuitton bags. So it can change, but generally what happens is that we have that tendency. So this is why sometimes women make better business than men, except that it looks like it's the man. So who cares what people think? What you want to do is you want to become aware of how the psychology of money, it's like, how does it work in our bodies? So once you figure out how to create it, you can create it through the business success model very quickly. This is why we cover Money in You for 3.5 days. You learn from masters, from experts like ourselves. I'm constantly learning from experts and masters, constantly. So it's like we can only master certain areas of our lives. Then you have a niche, you create a niche, something that is unique out in the marketplace, even if it's something else, someone else is also doing it. At least you have added some ingredients to it that is unique. You leverage, and this is one of those words in the English language, in all the languages, that is very misunderstood. Leverage, love, and systems. Leverage, love, and systems are 3 words that people use all the time, but really may not have a true understanding of what it really are. What are those words? What do they really mean? So that's something that we actually talk about in our programs. So, and then you leverage that through systems, and we then have created a thing called synergy, unexpected results. That's the business success model. That is the way how you make money, keep money, and grow the money. But let's just go back to making the money. You need to get really clear on what it is that you're passionate about. See, this is, people go, oh no, there she goes again, being a California babe. Look, I grew up in Chile, okay? I spent a lot of time in Asia. I spent a lot of time in China. So I used to be a California girl. I'm more of a Hawaii girl. I actually love being in a place where you can go to the beach anytime. I have my bathing suit on. This is a bathing suit. Ready to go to the beach. You know, my hair's a little wild because I just came back from the other side of the island. It's like, this is like tropical life, but this is what I'm supposed to be doing in my 60s, because I've been practicing these principles, and I created a system that for life will take care of me. This is how life is supposed to be. You know, I stopped struggling long ago because these systems work for everyone that puts them into place. So now you need to take a look at, how do you make the money for yourself? What are you really good at? There's a great book called Good to Great by Jim Collins. What are you good at? What are you passionate about? What is it that you would do for no money? And the other one is, what is it that your customers and your clients rave about? They rave about it. So like you see Nicola, I mean, she's like totally extending herself because she wants to bring this work to her peeps, to her network. She raves about it. That's what you want. And this is what we have had for nearly 40 years. And then what is your economic engine? So we come back to focusing. So believe it or not, it's the focus. It's your attention on what is your economic engine, on how you're going to bring about the money is coming in. Now, I could talk about this for hours, but I need to move into how to keep the money. Men, you have to listen to this. This endorphins that I was talking about, and for us women, those oxytoxins, you know, those beautiful, the cuddly hormones they're called. When somebody holds us and we're being cuddled, it's the same ones. That is what happens for us when we begin to create security. Men, again, are a little bit more adventurous and get more, you know, endorphins in their bodies and more hormones in their bodies from being excited. So it's that chase. So now, men, you can have it all if you make it keeping the money exciting. So it's like, now, what is it that you need to do? Then you need to go into more financial systems. Now you need to really begin to study, and don't just turn your money over and start talking to someone. I love financial planners if they have created the money that they want. So I like rich financial planners. And I don't mean to be mean to anyone that may be in that field right now, because what you need to do is you need to have a money breakthrough, because financial planning is so powerful and it's so effective and it is so good. But you need to work on the pieces that we work on in Money and You, which is what are some of the blocks that you may have created and what is your deservability level. So all of us, I was middle class, Chilean middle class. My mother had a beauty salon. You know, when I see some of those movies called The Beauty Shop ones, you know, that's me. I grew up in that environment, you know, with my mom having a little beauty salon. So, you know, I had to really learn and had to have breakthroughs. But then I had to become very savvy. So I had to do the financial statements, and we do share about them in Money and You. But also, you can download right now, just do financial statements from Google, not right this moment, after this talk, and download exactly what it is that you need to be looking at so that you know what are your assets and what are your liabilities. So my old business partner of 9 years that used to teach Money and You and the business school and had the big book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. That word comes from Money and You, you know, and we learned it from our friend Keith Cunningham. You know, assets will feed you and liabilities will eat you. That's what that is. So assets feed you. They keep growing. You can keep growing your money, and liabilities will eat you alive. They keep you up at night. They take away your creativity. So one way to keep the money is to be very realistic on how you do your financial statement. When you really look at what's really happening with you, when you look at whether you're spending enough time in income generating activities, and then also how are you leveraging yourself, your products, your services. Now, here I have to give a shout out here now to network marketing companies. You know, this is a thing that they give you such incredible systems, okay? And then the name of the game is to follow the systems and to do as you're told, and you need to promote. You need to constantly be bringing in business. And this is true everywhere. This is true everywhere. This is not just in network marketing. And if you have a foundation, a nonprofit foundation, you constantly have to be bringing in investors and people that will keep the money coming for you in order for you to keep growing your nonprofit, your foundation, however it is that you are contributing to the world. Same thing. It's just at the end, it's going to be that you're going to create a result. So when I talk to people that have nonprofits or foundations, I treat them just like they had a business. And they have to bring in the income. They have to bring in the money. They have to feel like they're deserving of it. So now in keeping the money, you move more into traditional business systems, okay? And I'm sorry, financial record systems. And then this is where you're now thinking about, what do I really need? And now this is where debt, D-E-B-T, okay, debt. This is where you now begin to look at realistically, how much are you hooked to getting yourself in debt? How much is the time that you spend shopping? Look, unless you are in New York And your job is to look the best because that is what you do. You do not need the latest Louis Vuitton bag every year, okay? And this is where the trap comes in, both for men and for women. No, women do not spend more money than men do. Men have a tendency to spend money on much bigger toys, on cars, and they want airplanes, and they want the best seats at the sporting events, and there's certain things that they really want. And believe it or not, women, we have a tendency to want kind of smaller things. A few women, yes, you're correct. But most women, we're happy with certain things. So now the discipline comes in. And I want to introduce you to a new definition of discipline. Discipline is being a disciple of your own self, that you're now focused and you have decided what it is that you want to really create, and you become disciplined in the sense that that is going to get you to the things that you really want and need and desire. So you're going to have discipline. We have certain systems, business systems, where we take you through in the business school, we take you through processes of when is the time for you to really start spending the money. But it's way down the line. You need to really budget money that you're going to spend. You have got to stop getting in debt. There are some of you, most people are addicted to debt. They're addicted to going shopping for things that they don't need, and they probably want it and they desire it, but it's not time for you to have it yet. That in itself will allow you to keep the money. Just because you're making it doesn't mean that you're not going to automatically keep it. And this is the distinction that probably has made the biggest difference to people. So you have to have, now, the word budget is a word that people really don't like a lot. I don't like it. So I call it budgeting for prosperity. You are, instead of having bills, you're prospering others. Instead of being broke, you're not broke. You don't use that for your financial situation. You only, it's when you break your foot, you talk about that word. And when you say the word I am, that is the biggest activator of all the words on the planet. This takes you to a direct line to the Great Spirit. I am that I am. I am what? I am prosperous. I am having a little cash flow challenge. I am in a temporary cash flow situation. I am not working out my cash flow situation. That is very different than saying BROKE. Very different. You have to this. So the wording.
How are you?
Use.
Okay, how are you?
I'm very good, thank you.
What's so great?
Hold on, I'm not sure why we have, one moment, DC.
It's not muted.
Yeah, someone else came in here and not sure. It says that it's mute. Are you there, DC?
I'm here.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, it's okay. It was Linda R. that is not.
Someone, okay, there we are. Okay, great. Not sure how they're able to come in because we're muted all the people here.
Because it's technology and we're talking about money.
Yes, we want to mute them, and then we want to make sure that everyone is muted as they're coming in. It says that. Okay, good. Okay.
They call them menehunis in Hawaii, little devils that come in.
Yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to say one more thing, then I want for Nicola to speak for a little bit. So one of the things is that when you are in the process of keeping the money, you need to say, I am in the process of keeping the money. So one is making the money. See, there are certain seminars and programs and events and businesses and things that will support you in making the money. Then there's a whole other set that will support you in keeping the money. Money and You is a whole system that supports people that are in the process of making, keeping, and growing the money. That's where we can have a billionaire in the class, a very multi-millionaires, and then we can have people that have very little money and can interact with each other in the exercises because it is designed so. We didn't do that on purpose because we didn't have those distinctions when we first started. When the creators of this work, Marshall Thurber and Bobby DePorter, were working to creating all this work that I inherited, and I worked on developing the organizations and the logistics, and I was a very important part of the team, but they're the ones who actually created the technology and the content of some of the work. The business school, I have created a lot more along with people like Kiyosaki and other friends. But one of the things you need to know, we didn't have that languaging. Now, nearly 40 years later, we have the languaging. So are you in the process? Be honest. Are you in the process of growing the money, keeping the money, or making the money? So growing the money now, I'm going to cover in a minute, but I just wanted Nicola to give us any insights or anything that you're going through as you have been in the process of keeping your money and growing your money.
Absolutely. And, you know, again, talking about being in the process. And that's why I highly encourage people to become a part of the graduates or become a part of Money and You, and also just the network, because when you're around and you're always the sharpest knife in the drawer, right? Sometimes you can't actually be real with yourself as to where are you in your process of money. You don't really know, are you in the process of making money, or are you in the process of keeping it or growing it? Because you don't have anything else to, I wouldn't say compare it to, but you don't have anything else. So your world is just your truth at that moment. And one of the biggest gifts I believe that Money and You and also Business School Accelerator give you is that gift of the network, where you can be in a room, all of us, you know, making the world better for 100% of humanity, and there's no judgment based off of where you are, whether you are in the process of making it, keeping it, or growing it. But then at some point in time, you have to know that you want to come through that whole process. And so when I met DC, I can honestly say that I was in the process of making it, and I was a little bit learning about keeping it. And then when I realized the same thing, because I get those things, I don't know, I probably have some of those male hormones in the standpoint of like, now I want to buy me a Rolls Royce, or I want to buy me, I want to buy a Bentley, like I want it so bad. And then here we come with my mentor saying, are you in the like, is that where you're supposed to be spending right now, right? And even though my bank account says, absolutely, you can do this right now if you want to, but then the big picture comes back in front of me and saying, is this really a part of my big picture right now? And this information is just so empowering, no matter what level you're at. I just want you guys to know this, because some of you are in the process where you're not even in the process of making it at the moment, because you may be having, like what DC said, changing your language. I'm having a cash flow challenge. And that will trigger some things in your mind for you to know that that is temporary. So that when it comes down to what should you do with the money you do have access to, or you become resourceful to know that I want to come out of that cash flow challenge, and I need to know what income generating activities are. And if I don't, I need to learn about that and be in an environment where I understand those systems, and not just hear it in this short spill that we're doing here, but to say, I need to actually put that into action so that I can come out of that cash flow challenge, and I can totally understand and increase my deservability, because I think the deservability piece is huge, because that's part of why people do go crazy wild as soon as they do get some money, because they feel like, I have been going so long where I haven't had access to this, and now I deserve it. And then they start really getting kind of confused as to, what is it do I really deserve? Like me, I had to ask myself those questions. What is it that I deserve? And then when I started saying my big picture was, I deserve, just like what DC said, to be, if God provides for me to live into my 90s, I deserve not to have to worry about a thing called money. And so that would automatically change what I do with my money now and my relationship with my money now, because my big picture is that. my big picture is I want to have enough money for me to serve the kingdom and be able to help people who may not have as much, or if I need to create an event or bring people like I do into my home where I can show them a greater experience about persons who are acquiring money, that it's not about someone who's hoarding or trying to be like the sharp, that I could actually show you generosity so that you could now start being more generous to yourself when it comes down to maybe investing in yourself so that you can get to that next level. And so when I'm thinking about the process, I too have trip ups, and I have. And that's why you have to be in environments, and you have to have a network of people to keep you, put you back on track. But you got to know what that is. And it doesn't happen by staying where you are. And I'm here, and everyone knows I love to learn. I want you to say that I love to learn. I love to learn. And this opportunity, even though I'm bringing this to you, I'm so grateful to have DC here, but I am also consistently learning. I've gone through the program. It's a part of me now. But learning is not something that you stop. As long as you're living, you should be learning. You heard DC say, I'm still learning from masters. And because you can master certain areas for yourself. So you have to have other masters around you so you continue to grow. And so I can tell you right now, myself, I'm getting a gift with you guys. I started off saying, I'm bringing you a gift. I'm getting an awesome gift right here. Hopefully you can say in the chat, are you getting a gift? Are you guys getting a lot out of this? It's just the tip of the iceberg. But I'm gonna be real with you. For some people, it's intimidating, isn't it? For some people, it's like, this is way over my head. I don't understand this. And I wanna stay away from it because I don't understand it. I'm afraid. This is not making sense to me. But I can tell you something, everything didn't make sense to me as I was learning it. But then when I began to just implement the system, everyone always know I say, even on my show, Power Start Your Day every morning, I say, you tuned in, you took notes, but you gotta take action. And when you start actually implementing what it is that you learn, it starts becoming not a part of you, it starts becoming who you are. Huge. Huge. So don't be intimidated. Don't be afraid. This is what you deserve, this information, so that you can now, we can start making this thing like what in the Soul of Money we talk about, you taught us even too, that there's not really like a poverty, it's not money issue, it's a distribution issue of the money. The money is there, it's in abundance. But it's just not, everyone's not having access. And this information that you're learning here in this short period of time, and the more you're gonna learn that money in you, it's giving you access, opening up those doors that have been probably otherwise closed, or you didn't know how do you get in that door. The door is opening here. And so this is really good. I'm excited for you guys, I tell you that much. I'm very excited for you. I'm very excited for you. So DC, that's my deal. You know, everyone knows I have to be real, because I want you to know that just because someone may be in the process and you see manifestation, that doesn't mean that they're not still having challenges at certain levels. Everyone will have a challenge at every level. That's why you might have people who are six-figure earners, multiple six-figure earners, millionaires, multiple millionaires, billionaires, multiple billionaires. At every level, someone is having that glass ceiling or that challenge.
Yes.
You know, so I'm glad that I have systems to continue to move through those challenges and know where I can turn to. You know, I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful.
Well, I have to tell you, one time I was talking, you know, I have moved into renewables. For those of you that don't know, if you go to solarvalleychina.com, you will meet my Billionaire with Heart business partner, who is somebody that I have committed to really expanding his work globally outside of China. And there was this one period of time when he said something like, he says, oh yeah, he says, I have to come up with 300 million yuan, 300 million. There was this thing that was happening in his company, and he had to, I just sat there and I go, could I, it's like my brain just kind of melted. What would I do if I had to come up with $300 million? I mean, it was his money, but it didn't matter. You know, they deal in their own money. And I just thought, oh my God, you know, when my mega rich friends talk about that they're having cash flow problems, everybody does. Everybody does. You know, that's the thing about money, that it's going to solve the current problems that you have, but then you're going to have to think about rich people problems. And that's the fun one. We really love having that, you know. And but I have to tell you, it's like, this is the thing why the mindset and the big picture is really, really important. Let me see, SMG, yes, my beautiful man. Hi, if you can put yourself on mute, we would so appreciate it. Thank you, thank you. So this is the thing that you now have to really look at. We can put him on mute?
Yeah, let me look for him.
Yeah. SMG 550T1, the beautiful young man that just came on. If you could put yourself on mute, we would so appreciate it. We can hear every little move you're making. Thank you. So this is the thing that you need to look at. When you are talking about now that you're going to keep the money, there are certain statistics that you can keep. We teach, and we'll talk about those in the business school. They are, it gets more and more, this is a topic that lasts a few years that you will master as you go through the process. But there comes a time when the money will be there for you to buy the Rolls Royce and the Bentley. Because you would have budgeted in. You can just
want it.
Yeah. You just say, okay, if we reach a certain goal, this is when I get the Bentley, this is when I get the Rolls. But can I introduce you to a new idea?
Yes.
You know, the real hip thing to do now, Nicola, is to get a Tesla.
Yeah. My guy had that Tesla. Yeah.
If you want to be the coolest person on the planet, a Tesla is it. That has replaced. And if you haven't been inside a $250,000 Tesla, I've been in Rolls Royces, I've been in Bentley. I was just in I think it was a Bentley that was worth almost $500,000 a couple of years ago. This wonderful billionaire let me drive it. I tell you, the Tesla was more exciting. Just want to tell you.
Okay. I'll go drive a Tesla.
Anyway, so now you have the next level, which is how do you grow the money? And this is now when you really need to start learning from masters that have grown their money. So if we go to the cash flow quadrant that Keith Cunningham taught Kiyosaki and I in 1991, I believe he taught us. And then Robert went on to create a book called Cash Flow Quadrant. So remember, it was over here was employees, and then self-employed, and over here was business owners, and then investments. On this side, there's no leverage. On this side, there's leverage. So, you know, you are an employee, you're working for another. Now, you could be a very successful employee if you work for a profit under profit sharing with a company. I mean, kids do it all the time in technology, in, you know, Silicon Valley. I live in San Diego. San Diego has a whole Silicon Valley, and there's all these companies. There's all of these up and coming new technologies. There's all the web stuff, all the phone stuff, Facebook, all the different things that you hear where people have profit sharing. And then overnight, you know, or not quite overnight, a few years later, they're worth billions, right? PayPal, you see all these young people that have become billionaires by doing that. So yes, you can be a very rich employee, but that's unusual, okay? Self-employed is when we start moving now. We're beginning to go into something different, but there's still, you are at the effect. Sometimes we're working harder than we thought we were going to work. So being self-employed is like giving yourself a job. But when you move over to this side of the quadrant, when you're now a business owner, what that means is that you now have all the systems in place, and you can actually walk away from your business and it will still be bringing income generating activities. But you may not still be at the place where you can just walk away from it. So you need to learn how to get to that place where everything is actually automatic. And like, for instance, I'm looking at that on me, possibly if I want to 3 years from now, 5 years from now, to completely turn my business over to someone to run it for me. And so it's a whole other conversation that you have. But underneath is investments, but you're not truly an investor, a professional investor, until those investments are feeding themselves. So if you have certain investments, you can call yourself an investor, but you're not a professional investor. A professional investor is someone that is generating so much money and it just goes automatic. And yes, of course, they have to pay attention to their investments every once in a while, but not be on it like 10 hours a day and, 7 days a week. At that point, you're still like self-employed, that you just happen to have your job in the investment field. So you will have the opportunity to be able to see whether you are really in the process of making the money, keeping the money, or growing the money. So now, let's just say that you are in the process of growing it. This is when it's really important for you to begin to have from the beginning, if you can, and this is what we cover in our business school. How long are you going to be in business for? Are you going to be in business for 5 years, 10 years before you sell it? What we want you to do is we want you to be able to turn over your business to someone that can buy it from you because he has income generating activities that are happening automatically. So this is now when you begin to really begin to go to a whole other level of understanding and learning about business. This is when, even some of you that may be getting started, you may be writing business plans, and then, you may be finding investors, or maybe your family is going to invest with you, or maybe you're going to go to a bank, or maybe you have some kind of a windfall and you have the ability to be able to grow a business. You still have to look at where are you? Are you in the process of making the money, keeping the money, or growing the money? So as you're growing the money, all along, people can say, I have had people argue with me about this. And they say, well, all along, I was growing my business. That is the process of growth, making it, keeping it, growing it. Well, yes and no. There is something that occurs in the brain, in people's consciousness, when they know that they are now able to keep the money. Now the money is coming in, and it's coming in, and it's coming in, and it's coming in. But now it's time to grow it. My personal tendency, I learned from Jay Abraham, the master of masters of marketing, okay? He talks about that the safest place is to invest in your own business. And I find that I am in control if I invest in my own business. But then also I dabble. I will go out and I will take a certain amount of money that then I can play with somebody else's dream, somebody else's business. So here we get into a really interesting thing about what to do with your money. So you make money, you're very clear on that, how much you need for you to maintain your business, to maintain your personal life, and maintain a life that works for you. After that, you will have this leftover money. You take 1/3 of that leftover money and you put that in order for you to invest in things that are capital expenditures in your business. You take 1/3 that you can be mad money. You can put it so that you're going to invest in things that are really risky. They look really great. Like my sweetie, he's really doing a lot of research on Bitcoin, and he reads about it and he tells me little stories and what's happening there and all this and that. And so that looks really interesting. And that to me, it's risky to me. I don't know whether it is or not, but to me, it looks risky. So if I had that extra money that I didn't mind if I lost it, yeah, let's put it in there because I might mind it, but it's not going to break me if I lose. And then you take 1/3 of the money and you can actually, there's many things, or you can do 1/4. But the bottom line is that then you can take 1/3 of the money where you now, if you want to, you can spend it on the stuff. You can spend it on things that you want to spend it on. But then there's one more piece, which is the tithing piece. And this is where there's different.
I knew this was going to be a long line.
Please mute yourself.
Why you say that?
Thank you.
Because they still on this start at 7.
I'm going to come back to you and unmute you, DC. Okay, there you are, DC.
Okay, thank you. So I was going to say, so now you can also take, let's talk about tithing for a minute. There are certain religious conversations that talk about tithing. Now, I'm a great believer in giving away money. I believe that if you spend the money, you put it out there, it's going to come back to you. So tithing is a key piece. And so for me, and I think for people, if they believe on it, but also I think there are certain generalized principles that are at work here that if you give, you're going to receive. That's a kind of an advanced conversation. But I decided that since I wasn't a money expert when I started, which I am a prosperity consciousness expert, a money expert is somebody that knows about stocks and bonds and the money markets. I am a prosperity consciousness master. I am a money, how mindset money expert. So I decided to go with the flow, and I have always given. When I had my only learning experience around money, I kept giving. I kept giving time and money, whatever I could, because I believe in that. So it's like now you need to create those habits that are really going to support you in being able to grow the money from the beginning, but be very clear on where you are, in what stages are you in. Definitely, you want to download for $9.95. You want to download the myaccesstocash.com. Go into Access to Cash so that you can get in your mindset the whole conversation on access to money, access to wealth, access to expert, access to resources, access to information, access to support. That's really, really important for you to have and for you to be able to create that.
Now, DC, I know this has been a very deep conversation because let me tell you, I know that people are on this line that are at different levels of money. And that's what I love is the idea that my network is now vast. I have people that are like, how do I make my first $10,000 in a month? And then I have people who are making much more than that, and I have people making millions of dollars. But what I love and what I appreciate about even the Money and You piece is that people are like, well, is this over my head? Can I learn this? And we're doing everything in Money and You in game form, where it's like you're playing these games, and this desensitizes you to, especially if you're feeling like, I don't understand money, but I want more of it kind of thing. You start learning it in the place, it kind of goes past your consciousness into your subconsciousness, where you are learning about the principles about wealth, business, money, and we're having a ton of fun. And then you leave out like transformed. I had some people who went to the last Money and You in San Diego, and it was so powerful because they were looking at hitting their in our business, looking at hitting their next title. Their business had grown in that month from $100,000 to $250,000 in sales in a month. They went to the next level. And when they came back from Money and You, they were in a place where they were like, oh my Lord, maybe I should not have gone away for 4 days away from my business. Then I had to remind one of them about the generalized principles about their big picture. And as they begin to put things in order, they did make their title. And they're like, wait a minute, leverage over labor, right? They begin to put it into, they're such believers anyway, and they'll be there at the Money and You as, logistics and helping us out, because they're like, oh, wow, it took me to that next level. People would think that I'm telling you right now, you could have had these habits that are keeping you at your level with money all these years. And in one weekend, you will have breakthroughs. You might have a breakdown in the process, but you'll have breakthroughs that your life will be forever changed. And you're doing it in a place where no matter what level you are, you can participate. You can participate in your own success, and you can do some things there. So I'm excited about June 15th through the 18th in Atlanta, Georgia, because some of you, they already are registering. I had some people that, you know, they're looking for their scholarship link. I'll be sending it to you right after we hang up this line here. We had a ton of people, we're calling you back, of people who said they're looking for that scholarship, and we'll be calling you back over the next day or so. We're getting right back to you to get you your links. And those people already said, I'm in. And some of them are still on the line because they want to know. They're like, I'm hungry for the knowledge and the experience. But there's some other people who are just logging in for the first time, and they're saying, what is this really about? And what it's about is you going to your next level and you getting unstuck and having systems and operating in principles, so you don't have to be stuck again. You'll know exactly what to do. When you run into that next challenge of your money, you know, challenge or cash flow challenge, you'll know what to do. And then you'll go back to, like, I could know, hey, I want to go to the next level. In my business, we're always looking at going to the next level, moving to the pinnacle of our business. And I would always, could always go back to the generalized principle. Okay, what about my income generating activities? It's fun to me to generate income. But then now I know that I've already laid out, we're on a 5-year retirement plan. I'm 3.5 years in, and I'm able to show the leaders that I'm using these principles, and 3.5 years in, our business is way ahead of schedule, using these principles inside the network marketing industry. And it doesn't have to be a mystery to you. Even if you're not in network marketing, you could be able to apply these principles, these generalized principles, to whatever business you're doing, and know, where are you? Are you in the process of getting that money, keeping it, or growing it? And start moving through that quadrant. And one of the other great things is that they were able to hear some history, because, you know, people, you know, read the Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and they may believe that, hey, this just came out of the sky. And it's okay that, you know, Robert Kiyosaki was able to innovate information that he learned through the network and through the growth of Even Money and You. And then now it becomes a household name. But it's one thing about reading the book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and living it. And this is what we want you to do. We want you to experience it. Stop window shopping for success. Stop looking on the outside in. It keeps you in a place. But, you know, taking you to the next level. Okay, so if you want to learn, what you want to do is you can go back and listen to the review. You can go back, this is recorded. And then you could also address any questions that you may have. I saw someone say, I want to learn, I'm a bit lost, and we get it. There's no way that we have people at multiple levels on here and everyone is at the same level of understanding and comprehension. But what we're saying is that you have the opportunity to get on that level here. And when you come through the program, it's not a prerequisite for you to know everything to participate. That's the beautiful thing about it. You'll just know a whole lot more than you did before. You never think that 4 days could change your life in that manner, because you've probably been going 40 years with, you know, I was, you know, nearly when I learned about it. But things can be better for you. How about that in a nutshell? Way, way better for you than it is now after the Money and You program.
But there's a money back guarantee. This money back guarantee. Remember,
that's right.
At the end of the program, but it has to be done at the end of the program. If people decide that the money that they spent that was not going to get them to the place that they wanted to go, they didn't get the distinctions that they wanted to get. It's very simple. You return your workbook, you return all your materials, and you don't have any contact with anybody in the network, unless, of course, they were friends that you had before. You get your money back. And the reason we do that, very few people through the 40 years have asked for that. And one of the reasons why people don't is because they have a worldwide network. We're going to have people there from Singapore. We're going to have people from Malaysia. We have a man that's working on his visa to come from India, an extremely successful man from India. And we have people from all around the country. My sweetie is German, and he's an incredible human being that will be there too, participating. And we have different people from different parts of the world. And so you have this worldwide network that you're not going to have access to amazing human beings that can really support you. And one of the things I want to say to LaRue, I don't know how to say things in German, the beautiful person that's saying, I am lost, but I want to learn. Just say this, you're not lost. You are now in the process of discovering. Just say that. Just say, I am in the process of discovering all the tools, the blocks, the things that I need to release in order for me to go to the next level. Just remember, the I am is the most powerful thing that you can say to yourself. So I am in the process of discovering. It's very different than saying I am lost, okay? So you have discovered this far. And I know that Nicola is very generous. I know you can connect with her and tell them your email, because I think this is important for those people.
Yes, you can actually email us at successwithnicola@gmail.com. And inside the subject line, let's keep it consistent. You want to say Money and You scholarship, Money and You scholarship, and whatever question you have pertaining to this recording or the past recording or whatever you have, we're here to support you. I have been highly supported through DC and the Money and You network, and it's a pleasure to serve in that capacity to support you. So don't think you're gonna be, we don't wanna say lost, we don't wanna use those type of disempowering words. Just like DC shared, hey, I am in the process of discovering, I am in the process of, going to your next level. I'm in the process of, discovering resources. There you go, there you go. I'm in the process of discovering resources, for you to go to the next level. These types of things will empower you. And it sounds kind of weird and probably sounds kind of quirky. You're like, oh, what is this mumbo jumbo? But change your language, you'll change your life.
Yesterday, I went to church with this beautiful group, and the son of the minister, he's being groomed to take over someday. And one of the things that he said, the lesson of up until now, saying that up until now, I may have been lost. Now I'm in the process of discovery.
Yes.
Up until now, I may have used the wording, I am BROKE. Now I know that I'm in the process of handling my cash flow challenges, and so what you want to do is you almost want to trick your subconscious, your unconscious, that is constantly running you, and begin to have some mastery over what it is that you say to yourself. The most powerful force we have is what we say to ourselves. And, and don't ever let money get in the way of you learning, of you going somewhere that's going to be the best thing for you. You work it out, you figure it out, look around your house, just go, what could I sell that I no longer use? What could I exchange that somebody will give me money? What are some of the gifts that I have? And then create being there, in 2 weeks and 2 days, and just change my life like so many people have. I mean, even Tony Robbins, his life changed when he was 23 years old and he attended Money and You. Ben Cohen, from Ben & Jerry's, Ben Cohen from Ben & Jerry's, he was still doing his ice cream in his garage. He learned a lot about leverage, the business success model. Paul Mitchell, the guy who created the hair products, along with Paul DiGioia. Paul Mitchell sadly passed away in 1989, but Paul DiGioia continued with the work. And when I met Paul DiGioia at a Tony Robbins event, I asked him whether he remembered Paul Mitchell having done Money and You. He says, oh my God. He says, I remember very well. And there were two things that he learned. He learned about leverage, and he also learned about loyalty. This is keys. And so what happened was that Paul Mitchell learned that if he just sold, that was the policy that they created. You cannot buy Paul Mitchell products except through salons or through hair product places. And he decided to be loyal to all the people that had been there from the beginning. And that's how if you find them in any stores, they're not the real thing. So those were two key things. So Paul DiGioria shared that with me. And so we had a really big impact. My friend, of course, Roger Lane, that had brought Paul Mitchell to Money and You in 1980 in Hawaii, he actually was friends with him. And then one of his sweeties, who brought his son later, many years later, she actually also told us that he had mentioned Money and You. So that when she ran into Money and You, it was like, oh my God, I have to attend it because Paul did. And then she brought his son, who was a billionaire, Angus Mitchell, to attend Money and You. So we have a lot of history. We have been there from the beginning. And so we are what they call the granddaddy of all the programs. And I had the privilege to learn with them. I was part of the team that created the financial literacy industry, training industry in many ways. I wasn't the one that created it. I was there as a team member, working on the logistics, working on building the organizations that was going to take the work out. So I don't take credit for the creation part. I do take credit for being part of a team that actually put it on the map. And now you see all these amazing people that have done Money and You because we all kind of grew up together. But what is it that you're going to do? What is your legacy? What is your big picture? How do you want to create an economic engine around something that you're passionate about and that your customers will rave about? And it is that type of thinking that will become much more natural to you once you attend Money and You. So I want you to join us. I'll be there. I'm so excited. I love Atlanta. I call it Atlanta because that is one of the hottest cities on the planet.
Thank you so much, DC. For those who want to attend the June 15th through the 18th Money and You, go to successwithnicola@gmail.com and put Money and You scholarship. We have a very special scholarship. DC has been extremely generous in offering a scholarship because I want you guys to know when I first learned about Business School Accelerated and Money and You, that was the first lesson that DC taught me, was never let money stand in between something that I wanted. And I remember saying, because I think, you guys, a very small investment considering what I had to do going over into Malaysia to attend the Money and You. And I remember her even giving me a scholarship to make it where, hey, there was no reason for me to say no. So she's offering you a scholarship too. And, but I remember it was well over $20-something thousand I had to get together. And I asked her, I said, I don't know if I can do that right now. My business is in transition. I'm, in transition and all this stuff that was going on. It was a crazy time in my life. And she said, let me ask you a question. Do you really want to go? And I said, I do. She said, well, that's the first lesson I'm going to teach you. Never let money stand in between you and something that you want. And I said, wait a minute. Do you know that was the very first conversation I had with her? And then I invested in myself, my business, which was myself. And I've never looked back. And that lesson in itself has given me so much courage that, this is one of the principles we'll be learning, courage. It gave me courage. And to actually pursue what it is that I know I should be doing in my life. And I don't let money is in its proper place, but it's not the thing that's going to stop me from investing in myself. It's not the thing that's going to allow me to miss opportunities. And the more that I've invested in myself, it's like the more money you make. And so it continues. So I just tell you guys, don't deny yourself. You're wondering those things, no, you don't have to have my life. You don't have to have experience what I'm experiencing, but there is a purpose for you. There is something that's bringing you, we're talking about that procession, closer to what you should be doing. And Money is in You and Business School Accelerated is where I discovered it. I discovered so much more about myself, and I just want you to experience it. I don't want you to miss this opportunity. And it's not gonna, I don't know when the opportunity is coming out. This is a rare opportunity. I know you're thinking it's common because you're on a free Zoom and you're able to see DC, and we've been on for a while, and you probably say, I didn't know it was gonna go this long. I want you to cherish this moment because I don't want you to believe that it's common. This is an extreme rare moment that you're experiencing, and coming to Money and You and being able to open your network to the world, which expands, right? You're thinking you're living in your little world, your city, your state, your issues, your challenges that you're having right now. And then now you come and you meet someone who probably had all the answers to all your challenges, and you're learning something in Money and You, but it might be that one person you may meet that can totally just say, oh, that's a problem for you. Oh, I have the solution, and I have more than enough that I can help you with that. When I went to Business School Accelerated, I met some Americans that said that they came over to Malaysia to the Business School Accelerated, and they never came back to America. And they're extremely wealthy now, right? And they were trying to get me to do the same thing. I'm like, I got a kid back home. I'll be back. I got a kid back home. But just understand your life will just totally, totally change. And many of us, I was thinking, I see Jack Lem, him and I, we like, you know, still are. Elaine Powell, she's all the way in Australia, you know, and we're still friends, and we're connecting. People who, you know, it's just like, it's amazing. You got to experience it. You got to open up your network and increase your net worth. And so June 15th through the 18th, go ahead and if nothing else, you took some great nuggets away, didn't you? You got to go ahead and tell DC thank you. Tell her thank you, show gratitude, tell her thank you for sharing these things, because DC has helped people and is helping people create systems that are not just millions, but billions, helping to systems for businesses that roll into billions, not just millions. And so surely she can help you, and the system can help you go from thousands to your first million or what have you, as you get clear on a lot of these things. And it won't be this grueling life or this challenging life that we always have to do. You start living the way you deserve, right? So DC, you can close out for us. And I'm just sitting here wondering, I'm like, wait a minute, I could remember years ago, I would have to work 12, 14 hours to make a 6-figure income. And now each and every day, because of the generalized principles I learned through Money and You and application of them, even in an industry of network marketing and other things, now in standpoint of moving into, you know, being an investor. I was investing in real estate and things. I'm talking about big level, big stuff. And I'm doing everything like from my home, and that's what I wanted. That was a part of my big picture, to be able to work from home and still be able to scale my business. And because, you know, these are things where people said you have to have this big brick and mortar, or you have to have an office. And that's not what I wanted. That wasn't part of my big picture. My big picture was to be able to cook breakfast for my family, do what I wanted to do. But then I didn't want to have to watch my bank account before I wrote a check for my necessities. And it's gone so much bigger than that. It's gone so much bigger than that. And I wanted to help a lot of other people do the same thing. So I'm so glad that you're here. I am a part of being a social responsible entrepreneur. Cannot just be for me. It's huge. On why people wonder, why do I serve so much in a capacity and give so much, is because I know that's part of my responsibility. Mm-hmm. I've discovered some things that a lot of people don't have access to, and it's my responsibility to share it with many other people, so you too can experience some great things. And so awesome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You guys are going to be on a great path. Join us.
Thank you.
Join us. Enjoy Hawaii. You got a lot more hours in the daytime, right? You got a lot more daytime hours.
Yeah, but it's only 2:24 over here. And I was going to say that I just wanted to really thank you, Nicola, again, because I think our alignment of spirit of having an effect on certain communities that are not really appreciated as much as they should be. You know, me being a Latina, don't let this little hair fool you for 1 minute. I grew up in but I am definitely a Latina, and I'm a woman of color.
Yeah.
And I want to help all the people that are considered minorities around the world, which is insane. 14% of the world population is Caucasian. But one of the things that I really am committed, particularly, I want to return through you and through all of you, this work to the United States, because there's many emerging nations that are using this work in order to really prosper and to add value to humanity. If you go to my Facebook, DC Cordova or Dame DC Cordova, make sure you like it while you're there and make friends with me. But one of the things that you need to know is that question is that we live by. How do we make the world work for 100% of humanity?
Yes.
In the shortest possible time through spontaneous cooperation without ecological offense or the disadvantage of anyone. That means everyone. Every life matters. And so we're working it in a different angle. Let the politicians, let the crazy people, let whatever they want to do. We're going to bypass them by supporting each other and lifting humanity's consciousness through socially responsible businesses.
Yes, thank you so much, DC. DC, before you go off, I know some people want to know, what is a dame? What does dame mean? They're like, what does that mean? I want you to tell us, what does dame mean? I know, but I want you to tell them.
I was knighted on my birthday on November 14 in the year 2010 by the most beautiful order. The short name is the Order of St. John, Russian Priority. And the lineage of that particular order goes back hundreds and hundreds of years through the Russian families. And there are certain orders on the planet that they honor you for the humanitarian work. So we come from the lineage of the Knights. They were the Knights Templar, and some of them went to fight for the little people. I don't know if you know that, but the Knights were the good guys that were fighting for the little people. But then there was another group of Knights that set up the first hospitals ever on the planet about 1,000 years ago. And it was that lineage that I come from. And basically you are honored for doing humanitarian work. So if you have been doing work and people will nominate you. So I was nominated. And when I first was nominated, I didn't even pay attention to it, but I was working with my spiritual mentor, Dr. Sananda. And it was on my birthday, and she says, you really need to take a look at this invitation. And I said, what? I said, I have never put it on anything that I want to be knighted. It's like, that is crazy. What is being knighted anyway? And it was pretty much a system that got set up for people that do good. And it was so fascinating because I actually decided to accept. I went to New York, and I went through a ceremony that was right out of a movie, with the big, prince and the princesses and these people, but they're very serious humanitarians. The Countess Brobinski is completely related to the United Nations, and she's 93 years old and works around the clock, especially with children and everything. And so it's an honor for being a humanitarian. So my life is 1/3 humanitarian work, 1/3 transformation of businesses and human beings, and 1/3 in making the world green. And so I have plenty to do. And so that title is very interesting. I am supposed to use it all the time because I actually was advanced. I'm a Dame commander, actually, of the order. And but basically, it works very well in certain circles. Believe it or not, I'm never going to use that title. That's too presumptuous. And what is a dame, and dame this, dame that? And then there are certain circles that it really works. So in the work that I'm doing on the planet is something I think that the Great Spirit brought to me to bring another level of credibility and thankfulness. And last year in December, I was given the first, I've been offered this before, but never accepted it. I was given an honorary PhD by a very reputable school in India. They're very serious about this. I didn't have to buy it or contribute or anything like that. So my titles are growing a little bit, but it's not about that. It's, for me, my biggest legacy will be when this world no longer has people that are starving first, and that are not poor. That are, it is so horrendous to me that in supposedly the richest country on the planet, we have people that are over now 15 million children go to home. They go to sleep hungry in the United States. And we have most of the homeless in the United States is very interesting, and not people of color. They are veterans, and they are mostly Caucasian. Us, the Latinos, I don't think there's too many Latin, except maybe mentally ill vets. There's not too many Latins on the streets, because in our tradition, we could hate a cousin, but we would not throw him or her on the street. We give them a room in the back of our house. So it's an interesting dynamic. It's beginning to be more of where do we come from? And that generosity of spirit has to be taken through business. It is business. Look, read Hopes of Climate, because that book teaches you that it is going to be business people, communities that are going to really change the world.
So beautiful.
We're going to change the world.
That's what I wanted them to hear, that, with the wealth, with the prosperity consciousness, and with all of that comes the generosity and the commitment to making, this world better for everyone. And so I look forward to meeting you guys there June 15th through the 18th. Go to successwithnicola@gmail.com and simply put in the subject line, Money in You Scholarship. And in the body, make sure you put your telephone number. It's a lot easier and faster for us to connect with you and see how we can serve you. So thank you, DC. You guys have a great time. Remember last time I was going to something for my 9-year-old? I'm going to something again for him. We're going to jump on some trampolines or something like that, right? And I remember a time I didn't have time for that. I was working all the way up to 11, 12 o'clock in the nighttime, just trying to make sure I made enough money. That was nearly a decade ago. And so life has changed tremendously. And, I'll never forget that. And so we're coming back to take a whole bunch more people with us. So thank you, DC. Blessings to you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.